Zach, aka Zach's Reviews. We are back again with another video, and guys, we are actually going to talk about the Book of Boba Fett, or as everybody else is calling it, the Mandalorian, like Season 3, because we've gone to the point now where we are literally, like, 5 episodes in of the Book of Boba Fett, if I'm correct, and there's only 6 episodes total, so... pretty sure, yeah. Actually, there were 7 episodes total, and we are now 6 episodes in. And in 5 and in this week's episode 6, they have been heavily Mandalorian-focused episodes. And I really want to talk about today's episode because, like, I at first, when I heard about Book of Boba Fett, I wanted to do reviews for it. But then when I watched the first episode and I kept watching it, it just... Past that first episode, it just started getting really bad, really boring. I started really hating the flashbacks that we kept getting, and I just said, you know what, I can't do, episode by episode reviews for this. I'll just watch it. I just did not have the motivation to watch it until episode 5 hit of the Book of Boba Fett, and it turned into The Mandalorian. I loved The Mandalorian. For people that are new here to the channel, I love The Mandalorian. I love Din Djarin. I love that character. And I love The Mandalorian, that show so much. And when I found, because when we got episode 4 and they hinted towards the music at the end, because right when they said we need some muscle, and then Boba's like, I have extra credits, and then Fennec Shen's like, I think I can, I think I can find some muscle, and they kind of hint to Mando's theme. I was like, oh my god, we're actually gonna get Mando in this episode. But I thought, no, I don't think they would really go off really like that, and we would, have Mando in this, would we? Until it opened, episode 5 opened with us seeing Mando, and it was a full-on Mandalorian episode, and I was so happy about that, but I was like, at the same time, I was like, oh shit, like, are we really, not gonna have Boba in this episode? And they, of course, they had mentions to Boba, because, Din Djarin, Mando went back to Tatooine, and he was around there, and, he, got a call from, I forget what the one, chick's, name was, but he went, she said that, she had a part for him, and, then she, kind of kept him up to speed on what was going on, in the territory and what was going on Tatooine, of where the Pikes were moving spice and everything, and people won't go near them and all this, and that kind of was like information, keeping Mando on what was going on with what Boba was dealing with. So, and then next Fennec Shan pops up at the end and says to Mando, are you looking for a job? And he's like, what, a bounty? And, she's like, no, we need some muscle. And then he's like, oh, Boba Fett. And she's like, yeah, we could really use your help. And he's like, oh, it's on the house. That was baller, by the way, when Mando said it's on the house. I was like, that's that shit. So next, he's like, but first I gotta see a friend first. And we were all leading up into that episode of him seeing Grogu again. And I thought, okay. And this was what everybody was thinking. Are we actually gonna get another episode where it's heavily Mando focused? Are we really actually going to see Grogu and see Luke? Because if you put it together, if we see Grogu, we're going to see Luke, because again, Grogu was with Luke, and Luke is training Grogu. So I was like, okay, are we actually going to see Luke? I was like, but that's what I was thinking. I was like, and everybody else was thinking that, but there was as the week came up to this week, people were now getting hesitant. Well, I don't think they'll actually show Luke and we'll see Grogu. I feel like, they might do oh, he went there, but he's come back, and they'll wait to show us that sequence of him seeing Grogu in season 3 of The Mandalorian. But I was like, that wouldn't make any sense, that he would go, if we would go see Grogu in season 3 Mandalorian, and he would just come back to Tatooine to help Boba Fett out and in his problems with the Pikes and stuff. So, I just, that wouldn't make sense. They're going to show him seeing Grogu, and we're going to see Luke. And we do, we start off this episode of episode, 6, which, today's episode of Book of Boba Fett was actually called Chapter 6, From the Desert Comes a Stranger, which is a really great title, because I really want to talk about that. The one person that ends up showing up in, Mos Eisley, because holy shit. So we start off this episode of us meeting back up with what was his name? He was like, I think the marshal of this town, and I'm trying to remember what his name was because Cobb. What was it? What was his name? What was his name? Cobb Vanth. So we see Cobb Vanth again in Mos Eisley. Of course, the town he is protecting, and of course we see the Pikes, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna make it think this through. Like, I'm gonna make it sound like you guys lost your way. You guys are new here. You guys are just having a pit stop, and I didn't see what was in the chest, so. You haven't broken any laws here in Mos Eisley, but I just want to let you know you guys cannot be anywhere in this area because I am the the share the I forget the word for it. It's not sheriff. It was I am the I don't know. He's just the one that's in charge around there. So I really enjoyed the fact that we saw, that moment with him, because I didn't think we'd see him again, but I was like, okay, it would make sense. I thought it was like, okay, we might not, because that's when I was kind of having second guessing, like, oh crap, are we not going to see Luke and Grogu here? Like, is this actually just going to be a Book of Boba Fett episode? We're just going to see Mando and him, and Boba Fett and Finnick, go keep recruiting people. But that was kind of a way in for us to be like, okay, this is a possible chance that he might get recruited, and he is now realizing it's going outside the outskirts of like it's going past Mos Eisley, or no, it's going past what is it no Mos Vespa. It's going out past that, and it's heading towards his part of Tatooine, Mos Eisley. So it's becoming his problem what the Pikes are doing, and I was like, okay, this is a perfect way to bring in Mos Vespa into or not Mos Vespa Cobb Vanth into the problem of what's going on with and Mos Vespa, and and it's gonna lead into Boba Fett and everything. It's like it's becoming his problem what the Pikes are doing, moving spice around Tatooine. So I really enjoyed seeing all that go down, and him he's fast with it, of course, because he's a good shooter with he's a good cowboy with a gun. So I was like, okay, this is really cool that we get the those cool standoff sequences where he's like think it through, but they of course were dumb and they didn't think it through, the Pikes. So he shot all of them except one. He's like, okay, I wouldn't do that if I were you, and he lets them leave, or lets one of the Pikes leave because he's killed all the rest of them. And at this point, he says, but leave the chest here. And of course, one of the Pikes is like, well, this is worth more than your whole town is worth. And he's like, just still leave it, and and send them a message out, in Mos Vespa that Mos Eisley is off limits. You guys can't run through here. This is a warning. Next time you guys come on my territory, I'm going to make it so no one's going to return. So he pretty much is sending them a threat to the Pike, saying, look, don't come back here. Your runners are not going to be coming back to you. So which was baller too. So I was like, okay. I was like, this is setting up that is now his problem, because they have went outside of Mos Vespa, and they're running spice through Mos Eisley, and he's not having that, Cobb Vanth. So I really enjoyed that introduction to him coming back, because I love that character back from Mandalorian season 2. That was probably one of my favorite episodes of Mando, probably, but besides, of course, us seeing Luke in the finale of season 2 of The Mandalorian. So I love that episode though. But seeing the fact that I was like, okay, when I saw Mando's ship, by the way, the Naboo Starfighter, I flipped out when I saw that in episode 5. I was flipping out. Again, I love that episode. That was Star Wars nostalgia at its finest. And I just, it was freaking phenomenal. And again, I think, if I'm correct, the director that directed it, she did an amazing job, and I'm trying to figure out who did episode 6, who directed episode 6, and I'm going to figure that out right now, because episode 5, because I loved that episode. Because, again, it was nostalgia at its finest, and it was just a killer episode, and I loved that episode. Let me find out if I can. I don't know why, but I can't figure that out. Let me look this up on the internet. The Mandalorian. No, geez, here I am thinking also The Mandalorian, because again, I'm just thinking this isn't the Boba Fett show anymore. It is now The Mandalorian. Book of Boba Fett, episode 5. I'm trying to figure out who directed it. 5, director. Who was it? Oh, Bryce Dallas Howard. Yeah, she killed it. She killed that episode. But yeah, I really wish I would have done a review for that. But I was like, you know what? I've gotten this far. Do I really want to do it? But I loved that episode. Just to clarify to everybody out there, I loved that episode. It was, again, Star Wars nostalgia at its finest. And it literally was a Mandalorian episode. At this point, I don't think this is... And we needed this, by the way. Like, I was thinking that all throughout Book of Boba Fett. I'm like, you know what? Because, again, I forgot this show was even going to happen. At one point, I knew, like, we were getting it. But, like, they didn't do really good campaigning for it because I kept forgetting about it. And as we got closer, I just kept not getting interested in it. And even when I started watching it, I'm like, okay, this was a really good episode. I like how they showed us, Boba getting out of the Sarlacc pit and all this, and that. I'm like, okay, this is good. But anything past the first episode, I was like, okay, this is boring. I hate the flashbacks. Don't like this. I'm not going to review this. I'll still watch it, though. And I just kept saying to myself, damn, they really need to put Mando in this, until we got the Mandalorian episode. I'm like, oh shit. Like, they did what, like, they knew this is what we would need, because, like, it was bad. But yeah, we see, so I loved how we got Cobb Vanth's, introduction of, okay, it's now his problem too. And we get, of course, we see the Naboo starfighter, but it's all, souped up, looking cool. It's all, steel, like, looking, you know what I mean? Like, chrome looking. I really enjoyed it. It looked sick. It looked very Mandalorian. So I'm happy they got rid of that ugly yellow. So seeing him fly to that planet, I'm like, okay, we are actually going to see Grogu. And we do see him land on the planet, and we see an antenna. And right away, I was like, that's R2. And it was R2. So seeing R2 again, I was like, okay, of course, R2 would be here with Luke. It's common sense. It would make sense. But it was just so cool to see, R2 again. But it really pissed me off because R2 took, Mando to the wrong location of where Grogu and Luke were, and that pissed me off. I was like, of course R2 would do this stupid shit, because R2 would, of course, redirect anybody that would land there, especially Mando, because even he knew when Mando gave Grogu to Luke that, that would be it, like, and to be a Jedi, this, and that, it would make sense that R2 would, like, it's so R2 to steer people, the wrong direction and act the way R2 acts. So he takes, Mando to this site or whatever that it's these robots building the temple, and that gets explained by somebody, and I'll talk about that somebody in a minute. But him saying, like, he's like, okay, where's Skywalker? I'm here to see Skywalker, and R2's really not responding, pretty much taking him to this location where this one hut is being built, and he's like, okay, where's Skywalker? Is anybody, and he just like, and R2 talks to one of the working droids, and then shuts down. I'm like, that's so R2. And then he's like, Mando's like, hey, where's Skywalker? Hello, don't shut off. You know what I mean? Where's Skywalker? And he just sees them pull up a bench, these worker droids, and he's like, is that a bench? And he's like, how long am I supposed to be waiting? And pretty much we just see Mando just laying there and sleeping, waiting for them to show up, because he does not know how long it's going to take for Grogu and Luke to show up from wherever they are, which they're on another part of, like, this planet or island or whatever, or like on the other side of it somewhere, meditating when we get to them. So, which was, again, really cool to see, Luke again, and to see Grogu, and to see them meditating. And of course we see Grogu distracted by of course the little frogs and stuff, and you could really tell his powers have grown, and he's using the Force is a lot easier, and you can really tell he's still learning his way. He is a Padawan now, you know what I mean? Like, of, he's a youngling of, a Padawan to Luke. So I really enjoy seeing those elements of him. He's learning, he's being taught by Luke. I was like, that's cool. By the way, that was great CGI that they did for for you know for Luke. It looked amazing. I couldn't tell if that was again the same guy that was his face double in Mando season 2 at the finale of Mandalorian season 2. I don't know, or maybe they actually brought in Mark Hamill and they put the VFX dots on him and they just made it look good. I don't know, but it looked freaking phenomenal. It looked a lot better than what it looked like at the end of Mandalorian season 2. So I really appreciate that they took more time to make the VFX look good, like for his, you know what I mean, like the CGI on his face, because it looked great. So seeing him again was really cool, and to see that he was of course distracted. It's so Grogu that he would get distracted, and of course that takes Luke out of his meditating, but he goes to show Grogu that this is what you can do if you focus, which was really cool that he brought up all the frogs. But in seeing Grogu's face, he's like mesmerized at the fact, oh God, look at all these frogs and look what I can do if I just focus, and that was cool to see all that too. But going on that, we end up seeing Mando wake up again on the bench, and we see Ahsoka, which I was surprised to see Ahsoka in this episode, but I was happy to see her because I just was not expecting to see her, because as we all know, Ahsoka, she left doing her own thing, and I was like, okay, because I think she's looking for General Thrawn, or Admiral Thrawn, like she's looking for Thrawn right now. So I was like, okay, like she probably, and that's what I think what her series is going to be about. And of course, we're going to be seeing who else are we going to be seeing in her series? We're going to be seeing Sabine. So I was shocked to see her in this, because in Mando has the same questions that we have of, I thought you weren't, why are you here with Skywalker? I thought you were gonna do something else. I thought you weren't gonna train the kid because you refused to. So why are you here with Skywalker? And she's like, he's an old family, he's an old family friend of mine, or whatever. He's a family friend of mine. And I was like, okay, it makes sense, because as we all know, or for people that don't know, Ahsoka was Anakin's Padawan. So of course, since that is, Luke's, Anakin's kid, Luke. So that would make sense that of course she would have a connection to Luke. So I was like, I really enjoyed how that confirms that she did know Luke and all that, and that's just really cool that they made a connection and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed that. And she's like, oh well, I'm not here, but I'm here as like support or whatever. So it was cool that she was like, oh, why are you here? And she's like, I knew this was gonna be hard for you to not have an attachment to Grogu. I knew that was going to be really hard for you guys to split up. I knew it was hard for you to give up Grogu to Luke. And she's like, she's like, why are you here? And she's like, and he's like, oh well, I'm here I have a gift for the kid, and I wanted to check up on him. So, and that's when she's like, oh, that's why R2 must have sent you here to me and not over to Luke and Grogu, because he even knew that you shouldn't be here. So that was really interesting in the fact I'm like, oh, at that moment I'm like, he might not be able to see Grogu. This might be a situation where like that would affect his training, because again, like he at this point, like he's already struggling enough, Grogu, the fact of he wants to still be with Mando, but he knows that's the right place he needs to be. So that would really do backtracking on his training if he saw Mando. So even Ahsoka, that's why R2 sent, Mando over to the location where Ahsoka was, not Grogu, and where Luke were. So that was the whole conversation of like, I knew it would be hard for you, but like, it's really hard on him enough that, when, he went with Luke, but it would be harder now on his training, especially if he sees you again. And he's like, I just wanted to make sure he was okay, because, he is, a foundling, you know what I mean, of the Mandalorianism. He's a foundling, so I really want to make sure that he's okay. And when again, because at the end of the day, he is literally Grogu's father, literally. So that was a hard for me to grasp on the fact that he might just leave the package there with Ahsoka, which he ends up doing, realizing like, are you here to see Grogu to see if he's okay, or are you here for him, or are you here for yourself, or do you need to make sure that he is would this make you feel better to see if he's okay? Is this not for him, or is it for you? And, like, you know what I mean? Like, is he being selfish in the fact of he can't let go, but Grogu was able to let go? And that was a really hard to hear that conversation on the fact of, is that true or not? But, you know what I mean? He just wants to make sure he's okay. But this all goes back to the old Jedi ways of thinking of like, there can't be any attachments. And Ahsoka, of course, knows that because she got trained by Anakin of the old Jedi way and all that stuff. So that really annoys me in a sense of, like, there is a way that you don't have to cut off attachments. I highly doubt that one Mandalorian that was, like, you know, that was a Jedi and also a Mandalorian, he was the exception. He probably still had attachment because he had his, you know, his sort of, you know, I guess, you know, they're kind of, because, you know, the Mandalorians kind of have sort of a religion of, like, they can't take off their helmets and stuff, like, at least the older Mandos, because the newer Mandos, of course, you know, with Bo-Katan and all them, they take off their helmets and stuff, so there's, like, a two-way religion to that. So I bet you, like, that one dude still had attachments and stuff because, you know, they're all about, what is it, there's a word for it, like, you know, they're all about being there for one another and all that stuff. So I'm thinking that season 3 of The Mandalorian will be him realizing that, you know, you don't have to follow those old ways, and you can also be, you know, be that one exception. He will be like that one Mandalorian / Jedi dude was. He will be that. And I'm thinking that's what he'll discover in season 3 of The Mandalorian. So it all goes to show again, like, that's what we're leading into. They're kind of leaving, like, breadcrumbs there to show us, like, okay, like, the old ways of the Jedi as no attachment and stuff. But I feel like and he's already struggling with that, on the fact of him with the Darksaber and how that's all working, and like, he hasn't quite realized yet that, and him realizing, you know, like, he got kicked out of his Mando Kree, like, you know, kicked out of the Mandalorian Kree and everything, of him taking off his helmet so many times, because, you know, the armorer asked him, have you taken off your helmet? And he said yes, and he gets kicked out, even though there was only 2 of them, but it made 3 when he joined their group. But of course she kicks him out because he's taking off the helmet, and that's not the way, and he needs to go back to his home planet, to a Mandalore. No, he has to go to, like, the falls of Mandalore to, you know, cleanse his way to get back into the Kree of the Mandalorian. And I feel like that's, you know, on his journey, he'll realize that I don't have to go back to those old ways to be a Mandalorian. This is the new way. I can be sort of like my version of a Jedi. You know what I mean? Like the Mandalorian version of a Jedi, where it's like I could be a Jedi but not have to get rid of my attachments. I can bend the rules. This is the new way. And I feel like we'll see him do that. So right away when she's like, "Oh, are you here for this?" But Mando leaves the when, you know, Ahsoka says, "Are you here for yourself, or are you here for Grogu?" You know what I mean? Like, is this for you, or is it for him? So I really loved that introduction, but I was like, oh crap, he's just going to leave the package there, and he's just going to leave, which that's essentially what he does. But when he's leaving, and, you know, he's about to, you know, leave the planet, Grogu sees the ship, and he's kind of, you know, holding out to the ship, kind of, I feel like maybe he senses maybe that was the Mando, and we see the cutest moment where, like, Luke is doing, like, the training moment where he's, like, flipping through, so showing Grogu, like, this is what you can do, like, you know, this is what becoming a Jedi looks like, and he's, like, going on this, and it reminded me, like, again, on Dagobah, if I'm correct, where in Empire Strikes Back, when, you know, Luke does go through his training with Yoda, and he's doing all, like, the flips through, and Yoda's in Luke's book bag and stuff like that. So it was a very reminiscent moment of that, and I thought that was really cool for us to see that moment. So that was really cool to see that go down, and Luke saying to Grogu, "Okay, jump," and then Grogu gives a small jump and stuff, and Luke teaching him balance, and the one moment where we see that like the youngling Padawan training ball, I forget the name, like the training ball thing where it works on your agility and stuff like that, and he it was cute, but it was cute and sad when like Grogu got like hit with like one of the beams, one of the laser beams, and he's like, oh, and he just goes like, I was like, oh, it was cute and sad, and he's like, okay, like, again, watch out for that, and you see, of course, Grogu's getting the hang of it, and he's doing all these cute flips, like how Yoda would do, but he's like, it's just so cute when he does it. Grogu's doing all these little flips and stuff. He's like he's dodging all like of the beams from like the training droid, so that was really cool to see that. And to see him finally learning balance. And then we, of course, see Ahsoka pop up to Luke. And, she just wanted to relay the message to Mando. But, of course, Luke already sensed that Mando was there and says to Ahsoka, the Mandalorian was here. And she's like, yes, he came with a gift for Grogu. And, of course, at that moment, Luke's like, I don't know what to do. Like, it's already hard for him enough where it's like I don't know if he wants to do this, Grogu, like, if he wants to become a Jedi. And pretty much we get to the point where, like, he gives Grogu an option. It's either, the Mandalorian was here to see you, but he wanted me to give you this. And it, of course, was a little cute chainmail, or I guess it was like chainmail, Beskar, which again was really cute to see that unfold in a little chainmail outfit. And then he says, or he's like, before you touch that, before you get that, because already Grogu was going for it. He was all happy that, Mando was there to give him a gift. Then we see, of course, in the box, I knew right away it was a lightsaber. And right when he pulled out the lightsaber, I'm like, that is, Yoda's lightsaber. And then that's when he explained, saying, or you could have this, the lightsaber, and it was my master's lightsaber, it was Yoda's lightsaber. And I was like, that, of course, yeah, that's Yoda's lightsaber. Because right away when he pulled it out of the box, I'm like, that looks like Yoda's lightsaber. And it was. Because I thought, how did you get that lightsaber so quick? Like, make that lightsaber so quickly? Like, don't you have to go find a kyber crystal? Like, shit. Like, how are you able to, like, pull out a lightsaber like that? But I was like, of course he got Yoda's lightsaber when he passed. In Return of the Jedi. So it was really cool to see Yoda's lightsaber again. And he pretty much, Grogu doesn't know what to choose at that moment. And I think we'll probably find that out in Season 3. If not, maybe the finale of Episode 7 of Boba Fett. Maybe we'll go back and we'll see what's going to happen. I don't know. But I feel like they'll wait to show us that in the story of Mandalorian Season 3. Of what will he choose? Will he go take the chainmail and go back with, Mando, because he says if you take this chainmail, you're going to go back with, the Mandalorian. But again, you have to realize that, a lifetime for you is a short time for him. Like, you will outlive him. He will die eventually, and that all goes with attachments. But if you take this lightsaber, you will become a Jedi, and you will become my first student. And I will train you to, protect yourself and to be powerful but you won't have any attachment, and you'll probably never ever see the Mandalorian again. And I think he will go with the option of going with Mando. At least that's what I hope he does, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm pretty sure maybe until Season 3 of The Mandalorian. Again, if not, they'll maybe try to show us in the Book of Boba Fett, Episode 7, which I don't think they'll show us that, because they're going to focus up on the fact of, of the Pikes and the Spice and the fight between the Pikes and, Boba Fett and everything, and seeing how that's all going to go down. So I'm thinking also with us seeing in this episode, we cut back after we're done seeing Grogu, which we cut back to us seeing. Actually, we saw that was the last part of that, but before we go back and see that, we end up seeing Mando, of course, that was like the end of the episode, but of course we end up seeing Mando go back to Jabba's palace to see the plans of what, Fennec and Boba have plans to take down the Pikes and things, and how that's all going to go down. But of course he ends up saying, like, I think I might have some, some troops that we can recruit. And then that's when we end up going to Mos Eisley, and we end up he's looking for Cobb Vanth, and next thing you know, we find out Cobb Vanth has like a deputy there, which was really cool. That he has like a little deputy to the sheriff or whatever. So I thought that was really cool that like we had all that going down. And he of course is like, is that a Naboo starfighter? He's like, it was, until I fixed it up. And right away I was like, oh, he's gonna want to join Mando in this fight. But of course he was not wanting to do that. He wanted to be like, okay, it's not my problem, because like that's what the town people were saying, is like, oh, it's not our problem, that's a city problem. We're not in, in Mos Vespa, we're outside of that, we're Mos Eisley, it's not our problem. But yeah, it is their problem, because they're running spice. The Pikes are running spice through their territory, and it's going to become their problem, where they're going to take over that area as well. So it will become their problem. So he's kind of like, but Mando's like, I need you, like, because at this point, Cobb is like, hey, we're square. I don't want to help you in this issue, even though he kind of knows that this is already a problem. But he kind of like turns down Mando, and Mando's like, I need your help, and he's like, I can't help you or whatever. And then Mando leaves, and then next thing you know, we end up seeing a shadowy figure, or not even a shadowy figure, but like we see the blurry figure out like in the sun rays, and I'm like, oh my god. I saw the cowboy hat, and instantly I'm like, no, they're not gonna do this. And the Cobb's like, send everybody out, send everybody inside. I just want to make sure this isn't any issue. I don't know who this is. Send everybody inside just in case. And as the person gets closer and closer, I was like, there's just no way this is who I think it is. But it is who I thought it was. It is Cad Bane. And I was flipping out. I was like, they really are bringing back Cad Bane from the Clone Wars? Holy shit. I was like, holy crap, because I can't remember the last time we saw Cad Bane except in the Clone Wars. That was like the first like introduction to that character. So I'm not really caught up on Clone Wars. And I know that of course there's different things outside of Clone Wars, or like there's like other stuff outside of there. I'm forgetting the names of the other shows. Besides, of course there's like Clone Wars Rebels, and there's like something else. I forget what it is, but I'm seeing Cad Bane again. I'm not quite sure where we left off with that character, so I need to like a refresher down in the comments below of where we last saw Cad Bane. But right away I knew that was a problem. Right away I said, Cobb Vanth, I was like, is gonna die. Like he's not gonna live in a standoff with Cad Bane. I'm like, there's just no way he's gonna die. And I was like, or like his little deputy trainee is gonna die. I'm like, someone's gonna die in this situation. He's like, he even says like, the Pikes want you to stay out of this, or want you to either join up with us or stay out of this. You can't work with Boba Fett. He's a cold-blooded killer. If you and this is a warning to you. It's either you come join us or you stay out of this. And we got to the point where like that deputy was getting very, very, had the jitters, big time jitters, and he ended up getting shot like 4 times. And Cad Vanth, ended up dying. Or actually, I don't think he's dead. My sister thinks he's dead, but I think he just got grazed. Hence, like some of the town members going out to aid to his wound. I don't think he's dead, but that was a warning. He even said, the Pikes will run spice through here, whether you guys like it or not. Mos Eisley will become, free territory, because it's called, like, I think they called it Free City or something. Or they called it, no, not Free City. They called it, like, Free something. Meaning that, they renamed the town from Mos Eisley to something else. So that was very interesting, the fact of, like, how will what's going to happen next, because it clearly shows that, that, like, since that happened now, what does that mean that we see him now again? So I don't know, honestly, what's going to happen in the next episode of the Book of Boba Fett. I know we're getting to that point, but now I also thought that when Cobb Vanth saw him, I was like, okay, what's gonna happen? Like I don't know what's gonna happen going forward, because now that Cad Bane is there, and Cobb Vanth got shot, and now that we know Cad Bane is now working with the Pikes, how much of a threat is that going to be to Mando, because and to Boba, because actually funny enough to find out that at the time Cad Bane was like the second best bounty hunter compared to to Jango Fett. So that's interesting enough to find out, like, but after Jango Fett died, then Cad Bane became like the one of the best bounty hunter that could actually kill Jedi and stuff. So that's going to be interesting, like, to see where that's going to go going forward, and how much of a threat he's going to be against Mando, Boba Fett, and of course Fennec Shan and all the rest of all the other groups. So that's going to be interesting to be like, how much of a problem will that be in the finale of Boba Fett? What's that going to do? But I don't know. Like, has he been recruiting because clearly he tried recruiting, Cobb Vanth, but he said no. And he ended up getting shot. I don't think he's dead. But let me know if you guys think he's dead down in the comments below. But I just don't know how that's going to affect the next episode of Boba Fett. All I know is that, like, I have a couple of things that also, like, how will this end battle, like, ends? And will we see Luke and Grogu again, or do you think they're going to wait to show us more of that in season 3 of Mandalorian? I think they'll wait to show us more of that in season 3, but it would be cool if, like, Grogu ended up showing up in the next episode, and you know what I mean, and he did make his choice. Like, Luke ends up taking Grogu to Mando. That would be cool if that's how we end up seeing at the end, is that Luke ends up taking Grogu home because he made that choice. But maybe, and we'll see, Luke, say that Mando, maybe, like, I don't know, maybe, like, he made his choice, but I don't think he made the right one. And maybe we could see, actually, Mando put, Grogu down the right path on maybe becoming in between of, you can be a Mandalorian but also be a Jedi, because we've seen that in the past. But I don't think Luke knows about that one Mandalorian / Jedi that once was. So that's going to be interesting to me if he ends up finding out about that and be like, okay, maybe there is a different way, there is a different path. Because remember, at first, Luke does have attachment. Luke has attachment to Han, Chewie, and why am I forgetting? And and Leia. So, like, he has an attachment to them. So, like, why is it like, oh, you can have attachment, you can only make one right choice. If to become a Jedi, there's only one way to do that. I think we're going to see there's other ways you can have attachment and still be a Jedi, and I think we're going to see those, like, see that in season 3, where, like, you can do it, and you know what I mean, you can be a Mandalorian and still take off your helmet. You can be a Jedi and still have attachment, and do the best of both worlds, and we'll see that in season 3. But guys, I really enjoyed, again, this episode of the Book of Boba Fett. At this point, I think it's The Mandalorian season 3, like the beginning chapters of The Mandalorian. I would say this is like chapter 2 of The Mandalorian. But honestly, though, I don't know. I mean, I just have not been feeling the Book of Boba Fett until we got episode 5 of The Mandalorian, pretty much, or like, it would be our episode 1 chapter, or chapter 1 of The Mandalorian, and episode 5 of the Book of Boba Fett. I just have not been feeling this show, and that's why I'm doing a review finally now, because it's like, I'm loving what they're giving me, because they brought Din Djarin back into the mix. They brought The Mandalorian back into the mix. I've just been enjoying it now, and I just was not really enjoying it before. This is definitely what they needed to save this show, because by the way, episode 5 is like their most viewed show, and I bet you now, especially since it got, their views went up a ton since they brought back Mando in episode 5, their views are going to be up a ton now because of them leaving off in episode 5. I'm going to see a little friend first, and now everybody's going to tune in because of to see if Grogu's going to be in it, and if Luke is going to be in it. And since now we know that they are in it, the ratings are going to go sky high. But it is quite sad that they needed to bring back Mando to bring back up the ratings, to bring people interested back, to get interested, back into the show. Because again, I just was not liking it until we got episode 5 of Book of Boba Fett, when we saw Mando, and it was a full-on Mandalorian episode. And I feel like we had, again, this was kind of like a full-on Mandalorian episode, besides the little bit scenes that we had at Boba Fett. Again, this was like another full episode of The Mandalorian. But it's going to be cool to see, again, Cad Bane fight up against Boba and fight up against Mando. I think also, I'm going to say it right now, I think Mando is a lot more of a threat than Boba Fett. And that really makes me sad, because from what I remember from the old Star Wars movies, Boba Fett was a threat. Man was a threat. He was silent and he was very threatening. His silence alone was very threatening. From when we saw him in Empire Strikes Back, like, he was very threatening. Just the silence. And then he gets his own show, and he's kind of turned into a joke, if I'm being honest. He gets his ass beat 24/7. He's kind of very laughable. Like, you can laugh at the character, and he takes off his helmet way too much. If I'm being honest, Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, is a lot more threatening and a lot more badass. I might get yelled at in the comments below that I'm saying that, but I think Mandalorian's a better character than Boba Fett. And that's sad, because again, you have someone that is the peak, was like the definition of threatening from what we knew about that character until he got his own spin-off show, and it ended up being bad. And you ended up realizing they kind of ruined the character of the threat level. I don't find him threatening as I find as Din threatening. I find him more threatening and more menacing than I find Boba Fett. That's sad, but I mean, I'm kind of okay with it, because I think Mando and Din have a better story, and I think he's a better character overall, way more than Boba. So, which again is sad, because you have such a character that has all that history, but yet it just and already has like the fan group, but you're kind of now losing the fan group that people had for Boba, due to you guys doing a spin-off show, making him kind of into a joke and not very threatening and menacing, as compared to when we met, the Mando. He was very quiet, threatening, and just the look of him. He kind of like what Boba was in the beginning, before he got a spin-off series. That's what Mando was. But even when we see Mando take off his helmet, which he doesn't do it very often, but I think we'll see that a lot more in season 3. There's just something threatening about him. His swagger is threatening. He walks the walk, talks the talk. There's just something about the Mandalorian that's just way more threatening than Boba Fett. Let me know if you guys can understand what I'm trying to say. But I want to know also down in the comments below what you guys thought of episode 6 of Book of Boba Fett, or AKA Mandalorian season 3 chapter 2. But honestly, this makes me even more excited for what we're going to see in Season 3 of The Mandalorian. I'm super excited. This makes me even more excited to see what's going to happen in Episode 6 of Book of Boba Fett. How is this Pike's versus, Boba's, unit all going to, like, how's that battle going to work? How's that all going to go? And since we now know Cad Bane is involved, how is that going to turn out? What is going to happen in this next episode? I still can't believe they brought back him. I just can't believe that. It's insane. I really never thought we would ever see Cad Bane in live action, but we have. And I wonder what he's been up to all these years, besides what we know from the Clone Wars and stuff. I wonder what he's been up to. I don't remember much, because, again, I need to catch up on Clone Wars still, because I used to watch it a lot when I was younger. But I do need to catch up to find out what that character's been up to. But hopefully you guys know down in the comments below, and you guys can just tell me. I might just watch some videos also to find out what he's been up to as well. But yeah, this is also going to make people want to go check out Clone Wars now, because we now see Cad Bane, to find out more about Cad Bane. So I really enjoy that. That's a clever way to get people to watch the cartoon series, the Clone Wars. But yeah, guys, I really enjoyed this episode. I'm excited for episode 6. I might do the finale, review of the Book of Boba Fett. I might go do a review for that as well, because I'm really enjoying it now, because Mando's been involved for these 2 episodes. So I'm really excited to see this finale and how they're gonna end this series. Also, it's gonna be interesting if the Book of Boba Fett gets season 2. I don't think it will, but it might. The ratings that Mando brought in from episode 5 on into episode 6 might be enough to save it to get it renewed for season 2. But I want to know down in the comments below, have you guys been liking the Book of Boba Fett before Mando showed up, or have you guys started liking it now and started watching it now because Mando's showing up in episode 5? I want to know down in the comments below, and also let me know, did you guys think this was another Mando focused episode? Let me know down in the comments below if you guys think that, and let me know down in the comments below what you guys think about Cad Bane making a live action appearance in this show. And let me know what you guys thought overall about the episode. But guys, again, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel, put on those notifications, like this video. I would love to have you guys here, part of this family here on this channel. We're all about spreading love, positivity, and motivation. And I would just love to have you guys a part of this family. And guys, we are literally growing each and every day. We're almost at 500 subscribers. I would love it, again, if you guys subscribe to the channel, put on those notifications, and like this video, because I'm really, really trying to get to 500. That is my goal. That is my dream, to get to 500, guys. And that I know we can do it. So let's make it happen. But guys, again, what a great episode of The Mandalorian. I really can't call it the Book of Boba Fett anymore, because literally it is now The Mandalorian season 3. Honestly, it literally is. It's the start of season 3. But yeah, guys, great episode. I loved it, and I cannot wait for episode 6. But yeah, without further ado, I hope everybody has a great day, a safe day, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.